December 10th, 2010, Otis College of Art and Design studio, video studio. We are interviewing Bia Lowe.
I was a student of Sheila de Bretteville. I was in the women's design program at Cal Arts, and I was also a student of Arlene Raven's. I was studying art criticism, and also of Dina Metzger. And so when I started reading feminist theory and understanding more about the women's movement and women's culture, then it all like fell into place for me, and I understood, you know, that somebody had put me in the wrong nest. I was, you know, a duck in a chicken's coop, and finally, when I got to be with other ducks, it was like, oh, okay, now I can, you know, fly around and quack. This is it. We were mostly learning about design, learning the elements of design, but it was from Sheila's perspective, which really was empowering each of us to solve problems rather than being told the formal traditions in which problems could be solved. And so that was really good. And I was also studying art criticism with Arlene Raven and looking at a different, seeing a different perspective of how to look at art, which was much more looking at sort of the underpinnings, the personal underpinnings of artists' lives, and understanding the art less from a formal perspective, but more how the person informed the art making. I first came to the Women's Building in its second year, and I was sort of just, I think my first year kind of following around a lot with Sheila and trying to help out wherever she was. And it was great because I got thrown a lot of things, little posters and things to do, and they weren't, it wasn't like having an assignment. It was actually like doing something that was part of this promotion of women's culture, and that was really fun, to be actually doing something that had carried some responsibility. Everybody gravitated towards each other. I mean, it was just that kind of time. It was, you know, the early 70s, and it was very heady, and everybody was young, and we were going to change the world, and, you know, women were just talking to each other, and there was just that kind of magnetic thing that was happening. There were all these conferences. There was the Women's Words Conference, and there was the Women's Filmmakers Conference, and the Women in Clay Conference, and it was really, really cool because it really attracted a lot of significant artists at that time. You know, I got to meet Mary de la Sour and Adrienne Rich, and, you know, all these people that was just, you know, it was like, really, really amazing, really, really something. And the energy was unbelievable, and that everybody was connecting and seeing that there was this kind of cohesion and interest, and there was a sharing of a lot of people's work, and it was a very, very, very exciting moment for me. Oh, everybody helped with the move, and that was so cool because you know, I mean, everybody just learned to be handy, you know. I mean, we've all seen the pictures of Sheila, you know, doing the sheetrock, pushing up the sheetrock, and but we were all like that. We were scraping, and, you know, we're probably going to end up with some, you know, third eye or something from all the various strange substances that we were dealing with and dusts we were inhaling. But it was great, and I, you know, to this day. You know, I now own and co-manage a restaurant, and I use that sort of sense of jumping into things, and if I'm not quite sure how to repair a refrigerator, by God, I'm going to figure it out, and that kind of thing. I was involved with the Great American Lesbian Art Show. There was a collective of about 5 of us, and please don't ask me to recall their names, but Terry Wolverton was definitely one of them, and we curated a visual art show that was by invitation, and we tried to get some, you know, heavy hitter name recognition people that would kind of draw interest to the whole issue of what is lesbian art. We conceived of the logo as being 3 X chromosomes. So it was like also positing new life and a new kind of way of thinking about lesbian art as this different new thing. Working on an oral history of lesbianism was kind of fun. At some point along the line, it was kind of a huge undertaking in that we had, I can't remember how many of us, there were 13 or something, and it was this process of developing stories and everything, and I was just kind of hanging out with it. And then all of a sudden, we realized that there needed to be the production end of it, and so I kind of jumped into that and was the production director. And that was really fun for me because I got to learn about all the different aspects of putting on a show, and including the sound and the lights and the set and just sort of managing people in a general way, like a stage manager. I've always loved those little photo booths and loved when and how they've been used in various artists' visual stuff. And so I just sort of thought about, since it is oral, and a big part of the experience of being gay in this time, on this age, is the experience of coming out. It seemed like the poster would do that. And so by each woman saying the word lesbian, and it would work sort of like almost a Muybridge kind of thing of seeing her pronounce the word lesbian, it also would be a way of being self-avowed lesbian and proclaiming her identity. And so, and it would, sort of show that there were these women, and it was, going to be this performance event involving their experience and their articulation of their lesbianism. And I really liked it, and I really loved working, and I did this a lot with printmakers, worked in collaboration with them. So I'd have sort of a conceptual overlay, and then that they would do something really painterly underneath. And so there'd be these two very different things that would kind of come together, and it was fun. It was collaboration. The Incest Awareness Project was really so cool because it was so deeply personal, and it was so geared for how the most personal and possibly difficult to receive material could be made public in a way that would invite participation. So that was kind of the overall thing that we were all working with, and there were all these different components. There was an art show, which was really amazing, but Equal Time and Equal Space, which was largely conceived by Nancy Angelo, who's such a genius. It was this video installation. When people were led into this environment, there were 6, I think, video monitors, each with a woman, a headshot of a woman speaking about her incest experience, but in the real time of a consciousness-raising circle. And so it was as though you were invited to sit inside the circle and listen to these women speak of their experience, but also listen to how they were being supported by the other women and how they were being heard by the other women. I painted the floor this really sort of soft pinky peach color, and everything else beyond that sort of faded into black. And it was illuminated so that just the inside of the circle was kind of warm and lit up, and pretty much everything else disappeared. It was in a room, and we blacked out the windows, and we had pink cushions on the floor, and it was very kind of warm and insular, and trying for safety. And the whole thing, the filming and all the process that led up to it, and it was just, it was so brilliantly produced and conceived and directed, and I was really proud of that, because I think it was a really, for that time, it was so, I mean, who did that? Nobody did that. We did that. That was so cool. You know, such an unusual, innovative, beautiful use of the medium. The exhibition for the Incest Awareness Project was called Bedtime Stories, and then there was a little heading, Women Speak Out About Incest. Oh, and I designed the logo for that, which I also really like, which was a little girl holding up the world, atlas-like, and it says underneath, once upon a time, she thought that incest was something she had to carry around all by herself. And that sort of suggests that that time has passed. So it's almost like a utopian vision of a world in which little girls don't have to feel that they have to carry that around by themselves, and they can just be little girls. Probably more than anything else that I learned during all those years at the building was how to collaborate. And everybody being pretty clear what their vision was about a particular project. It was just, for the most part, pretty seamless. I mean, you would think, with all those egos, that there would have been really bad. And there were a few bumps along the way, but by and large, I think we all learned in a pretty fluid way how to be leaders, how to be followers, how to have it kind of move back and forth in the interest of serving the vision that we all shared for whatever project it was. And it was so interconnected, and the sense of community was quite all-encompassing. It really defined our lives, I think. Among my other hats, I am a writer, and my first book, Wild Ride, published in 1996, I think it was, 95, 96, won the Quality Paperback Book Club Award for creative nonfiction, which is really nice for me. And then my second book is kind of the same. It uses the same form, but it was more about travel and falling in love.